back with my friend and best-selling author Brad Meltzer in 2014, you launched an incredible series, the I Am series of children's books, Ordinary People Change the World. And how many are you up to now on these?
I think we're at 26.
And you started out wanting to do how many?
I said to them, I wanted to start with I'm Amelia Earhart and I'm Abraham Lincoln. And they said, oh great, 2 books. And I said, no, I want to do 100, which seemed like a crazy thing to say, but we're on 26, so we're getting there.
Absolutely. And you did this along with your incredible illustrator, Chris Iliopoulos, who, because you wanted to give your own children real heroes to look up to and not just somebody on TikTok.
That's it. Our kids are being fed garbage every day on social media, on TikTok, on Instagram.
Yeah.
And I said, I can give them so many better heroes, heroes of resilience, heroes of compassion, heroes of kindness. Remember when we favored kindness and even humility? Remember when humility was a great American value? We lost it and we need to bring it back again. So I wanted to give people a way to teach their kids about real heroes that their kids could look up to and emulate. And this series started with Rosa Parks and Dr. King and Albert Einstein. My son loves sports. I said, here's a great athlete. Forget a millionaire overpaid athlete. Here's I'm Jackie Robinson. And book by book, my son who loves Legos and to draw, here's I am Walt Disney. Here's I am Jim Henson. And my daughter loves our dog. I said, you want to know what you can do with your love of animals? Here's I'm Jane Goodall, one of our top-selling books to show her what a female scientist can do who loves animals. And it's been my way to fight back, and I love that everyone uses them to fight back against the cynicism that we all see in society today.
Talk about these two, which I love. Of course, Muhammad Ali. I mean, he's everybody's hero, it seems like. And I Am Malala. These were very special to you to do these in particular.
Yeah, and these are our 2 newest books that just came out. And obviously 2 Muslim heroes. We saw the way Muslims were being targeted, and we thought, again, people fight back in different ways. We fight back with stories. And the story of Muhammad Ali in this book, one of the greatest Americans who ever lived. Muhammad Ali, when he's a little boy, goes to a restaurant. And we always start the story when they're little kids.
Exactly.
So you always see these heroes when they're little, so kids can relate to them. And he goes into a restaurant with his mother. His mother says, can I get a cup of water for my son? And they say, we won't serve you because you're black. And he starts crying as a little boy. He eventually wins the gold medal at the Olympics, becomes the Olympic gold medalist. Here he is, the United States of America wins it for it. And then he goes back to that same restaurant with the medal around his neck, says, look, I'm the gold medalist. I'm wearing it. You're going to serve me now? Same restaurant. They say, we're still not going to serve you. And Muhammad Ali takes off that gold medal and he says, this medal is worthless unless we're all equal. Teaches how to protest. And that's not the bad part of America. That's the most beautiful part of America, is we can protest and make this world better. And that's the whole goal that the founders wanted, right? To make a more perfect union. And I love that every book on the back has that moral lesson. So on the back of I Am Malala, it says, I know with education, we can all soar. On the back of I Am Muhammad Ali, it says, I will always fight for what I believe. I want my daughter to have that lesson. I want my sons to have that lesson. I want every kid and grandkid and niece and nephew out there to say, I will always fight for what I believe. And I love that parents and grandparents use our books to build libraries of real heroes for their kids, their grandkids, those nieces and nephews.
Oh, absolutely. I have to say, I am partial to one Oprah Winfrey.
Well, that's right.
And I think they're going to bring it up, but I even had, there's my buddy Oprah, back in 1994 when I went up to Chicago. Yeah, yikes, that hair. And but seriously, what was your message behind Oprah? Here she is, someone that we think we all know.
Of course, and again, you and I have talked about Oprah. Oprah is not just someone who's famous on television. What I love about Oprah is I wanted to teach my daughter what a strong female businesswoman looked like, and also self-acceptance looked like. Oprah, when she was a little girl, used to put a clothespin on her nose because she thought her nose was too wide. They told her that her hair was the wrong way, that her skin was too dark, she wasn't built with the right body type. They even tell her that she cares too much. There's a famous story of when, and you'll see it in the book, she goes to report on a family who loses everything in a fire. And she goes there, and the next day she goes back to the family with blankets as a gift to say, you need something, your house burned down. And the station manager yells at her and says, you can't do that. This is a news story. You can't care too much. She's like, care too much? That's an absurd thing to say. And what I love is that Oprah stands for the idea that the only thing you ever need to be in life is yourself. And I want my daughter to have that lesson. Our kids are, as you see on Instagram, they're told their body's the wrong shape, they don't look the right way. And Oprah stands for that idea that the only way to have self-love is to have some self-love, and it's so vital to have it. And My kids need that lesson. Every kid needs that lesson today.
Every adult needs that lesson as well.
We all need that lesson.
For sure. I think a lot of people, if they heard about it, they were very surprised. 2 of your books from your children's series were banned. And of all people, Rosa Parks and Martin Luther King. What was going on? This was in York, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
What happened?
And what happened is York County, Pennsylvania's school board found, and it had nothing to do with the content, to be clear, but they made a list of 200 books that were considered the best to teach kids about race and racism. And they said, we want to make sure we read these books before we release them to the school, so we're going to put a freeze on them, which is a good thing to me. You want to make sure you check books before you give them to kids. Right. But here's the fast one that the school board pulled. A year went by, and they still hadn't read the books. These are books, our books are 30 pages. They're for kids ages like 5 to 12. You can read them in about 5 minutes. And what started as a freeze now became a ban. And they knew what they were doing. They banned our books, Malala's book, the Sesame Street book about race, the story of Hidden Figures, the women who work with NASA and the astronauts, this beautiful story. And all of them were banned. And I got a call from friends at Fox News, call from friends at CNN, call from friends at MSNBC, all of them saying, this is disgusting. I can't believe they banned your books on Rosa Parks and Dr. King. And when Fox News and CNN and MSNBC agree, you know you went too far. So I went down to the school board. I spoke in front of the school board. I read from my favorite line of I Am Rosa Parks. And it says, I'm not a famous business person. I'm not a famous politician. I'm just an ordinary person. And I'm also proof that there's no such thing as an ordinary person. And I said, that's what you're denying kids right now. And then all these kids started speaking to the school board saying, we love these books. How dare you ban them? How can you do this? These kids saved the day. We got the ban overturned. But here we are, Kelley, in 2022, still fighting book bans. And the question is why? And all they're trying to do is, I look back through history, because you know me, I always believe
everything starts and ends in history for you. That's
you know true. Me so well, right? You got to look back to figure out how to go forward. And the first book that was ever banned in the United States was Harriet Beecher Stowe's classic Uncle Tom's Cabin. Why did it get banned? Because slave owners didn't want the idea that slavery was bad being out in the public. They didn't want abolitionist ideas being out in the public. They didn't want it indoctrinating their children. And that word indoctrination is being used right now to divide us, right? They're always saying, you want them to indoctrinate your kids? That's a way to scare you. And we need to do better and not take that bait. And I love the fact that Fox News and CNN and MSNBC all agreed, if you're banning books and you're cheering as they're being pulled from the library, you're on the wrong side of history.
Absolutely. Speaking of kind of just the society in which we live, what's going on?
But it's a good question, though. That's the right question. Why is it happening?
Yeah.
And I think what always happens, whenever you look at book bans, whether it was Shakespeare, whether it was Huck Finn, whether it was Uncle Tom's Cabin or Alice in Wonderland, anytime, or rap records in the 80s and 90s, it's always people who are afraid of losing their power. They're worried that their way of life is going to change. And if you ask Americans, do you want anyone to indoctrinate your kids? I certainly don't.
No,
90% of people will say no.
Right.
But if you ask people, do you want to have an honest and age-appropriate conversation about race so we can come together as a society? Same 99% will say absolutely. Why do they make you say words like indoctrination? Why do they use those words? Because angry people vote and angry people watch. They make good viewers. And all they're trying to do is scare you, so you watch the show and you get scared and you get all ginned up and you get all angry, you hate the other side, and both sides are guilty of it, and there's no good of that. Again, we have to form a more perfect union, and the union part means we have to do it together. Don't take the bait when you see it happening as the midterms approaching, because it's only going to happen more and more. Make sure go buy banned books. Go buy banned books. Every time I see a banned book, I buy it. When I see Jerry Craft's book, New Kid, I didn't know who he was. I said, I'm buying it. I donate it right to my library. I love that people donate our books to the libraries. We, in fact, I Am Rosa Parks, we got 5,000 books donated to a school district that has 5,000 kids. It's now being taught in the schools because they have so many copies. I love that they have to eat that book ban, and you got to take the lessons of Rosa Parks and Dr. King, and you got to fight back.
Incredible. A few photos to share from over the years. Brad and I will be back in just a moment.